Ubuntu has a new desktop director. Red Dead Redemption 2 is in the news and it's not good. And Intel gets caught stepping in something. This is your Linux and Tech News. Hey everyone, we're going over some news stories. And before we dive into these, I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to hit that subscribe button if you're new. Okay. So our first story is Canonical has a new director of the Ubuntu desktop. Will Cook, who held the role of the Ubuntu desktop director/manager since 2014, has announced that he has left the company on Twitter and used the opportunity to confirm Martin Wimpress as his successor. Now, Martin Wimpress is a very familiar name to me. He ran the Ubuntu Mate flavor for a little while, as I understand. Martin Wimpress is a name that should be familiar to many of you due to his efforts within the open source and Linux communities. This includes his leadership of the Ubuntu Mate flavor, okay, yeah, I was remembering correctly, and his work as a Snapcraft engineer, his development on the Mate desktop, involvement in the open source events and conferences around the country, and his many podcast activities, including being Velvet Voice co-anchor of the Ubuntu UK podcast. So wow, Will Cook has made some seriously sizable shoes vacant at Canonical. Martin Wimpress is perhaps better placed than most to slip in and fill them. Okay, now I might be biased. Hey, he looked at the name of this site, but the Ubuntu desktop is in really good shape right now, with Ubuntu 19.10 being an exceptionally epic release, which is actually pretty decent. I've actually used it a little bit. And the card on that bouquet of thanks for that, well, it's a good address to Will Cook. Well, he just introduces himself and the rest of this, but congratulations to Martin Wimpress. Hopefully, you do some great things with that desktop. As always, I'll link these news articles in the description. Let's move on to our next story, which is Red Dead Redemption 2, whose PC port still has big problems. Freezing, crashing, and all sorts of strange bugs are bucking players off. Now, apparently, when they released this game, they had some pretty gnarly problems. Some people can't even get the dang game to launch properly. So, I mean, if you can't get your game to launch, and this game could have been you could have paid $100 for this game. I mean, depending on which edition you got. It was like $100 for all your extra content, your season pass, etc. Or you could have gotten the base game for like $59.99, something like that. But apparently the problem's with the launcher or something like that, as I understand it. Jay 2's did a perfect video on that. I'll link that in the description, and you'll probably all see it, the thumbnail right here on the screen. Now, I'm having a difficult reviewing Red Dead Redemption 2, not because I abhor playing it. It's because the amazing game in plenty of it's an amazing game in plenty of respects, but because it crashes every 30 to 45 minutes, man, your reviewer can't even play it. My first day with Red Dead 2 went pretty well, so I didn't read too much into reports of performance problems across the internet as indicative of a bad port across the board. But those problems are now dominating the greater conversation online. Some players report hard freezes when arriving at Valentine for the first time, audio distorts and crackling on occasion, which happens to me quite often. Others are reporting random crashes like on my own, frequent freezing and stuttering, missing textures, and all sorts of minor and terrifying bugs. Reddit and YouTube tend to amplify the problems of a loud minority of any game's release day, but once my colleagues started chiming in with their own issues, I really started to worry. Harry Shepard experiences hitches that freeze the action every 30 seconds with an AMD RX 480 and an Intel i5 6500, which both meets the minimum system requirements. I've seen light frame rate stuttering and even RTX 2080, and on a Core i9 9900K. More so when using the Vulkan API than DX12, every half hour or so. So Vulkan API is experiencing more problems than DX12. Man, the developer must have really screwed the pooch there. Rockstar Games needs to fix this. Because, I mean, when you pay $100 for a game, you expect it to actually start and run properly. I mean, a few bugs are okay on launch day. That's expected. But when most of your gamers can't play it for more than 30 minutes at a time, you got a problem. I won't read this rather long article, but I will link in this description too. But this is terrible. This is why you don't pre-order games, people, because literally you could end up shelling out $100 and your game won't work on launch day. And now on to our last story. Intel publishes misleading benchmark. Given the heat that Intel is facing with a resurgent AMD, to say nothing of their own difficulties across the product line as the transition to 10 nanometers has been protracted, years-long problems from the firm, I think that's supposed to say from the firm, man, Tech Republic needs to proofread the articles a little bit. The performance at Intel blog has been caught red-handed by Patrick Kennedy at STH for publishing a GROMACS benchmark claiming that a 2-socket Xeon 9282 system is 20% faster than a 2-socket EPYC 7742 system. The core contention, is that Intel's use of the GROMACS 2019.3, which was published in June 2019, rather than the GROMACS 2019.4, published on October 2nd, over a month before the Intel's benchmarks were published. The minor version bump to the popular molecular dynamics package added support for detecting the Zen 2 microarchitecture, marking the first release that has any enablement of features in AMD's newest processors. So they didn't use the right benchmark to benchmark their tools and produce misleading results. With the change version, GROMACS enabled 256-bit wide AVX2 SIMD instructions by default. Wow, that's a mouthful. As well as adding performance tuning to a non-bonded kernel parameters, which the release notes indicate have a significant impact on performance. Kennedy's benchmarking eliminates any Intel advantage, though notes that further optimizations are still needed for AMD and highlights other configuration oddities, concluding that Intel's post is not a reputable attempt to present factual information. So, and then Intel's spokesperson provided the following statement. Intel is committed to always provide fair, transparent, and accurate performance results and would not intentionally mislead. We received feedback on our original blog and appreciate the community's passion about performance and the accuracy of benchmarks. Taking the community's feedback, we have updated this blog's data with the most recent GROMACS 2019.4 version and found no material difference to earlier data posted on the 2019.3 version. Okay, so there's no difference. That's kind of interesting. SDH Patrick Kennedy's posted an update addressing Intel's updated test run, highlighting some disparities between the two compared products, including questioning the equitability of a comparison between a 400-watt TDP niche part from Intel compared to the default 225-watt TDP of the EPYC 7742, which is configurable to a 240-watt TDP. Concluding that we need to remember this is a marketing exercise. As such, we need to expect that Intel is going to try presenting its products in its best case. So in other words, you use the wrong benchmark. Intel tried to cover their butt. We released the results using the correct benchmark and said, my bad, and in an attempt to cover up this whole fiasco. Why didn't you just say you made a mistake and left it at that? I don't know. However, it just appears that Intel stepped in some real serious crap, and now it turned around and bit them in the butt. Let me know in the comments what you think about any of these stories. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Also, consider following me on my social media links below. And if you really liked it, check out these videos that are listed on your screen. Have a nice day, and thank you for watching The Penguin Revolution.